Oh, look, I remembered to share my screen. All right, so these are just the tail wag on the dog, and they should be easy. This is Victor.
I'm pretty sure, do they have gun ranges in Vegas?
They do have gun ranges in Vegas. They're very expensive. They have specifically machine gun ranges in Vegas. I haven't been to because I don't know. I want to shoot other guns before machine guns.
Angel.
Oh.
Angel.
We can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I'm not muted.
Angel.
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine. This works. I think it's fine. Okay. Oops, sorry. Carmen. Yeah, it works. You can see all 4 frames, right? Why does it look like there's only 3 frames? So, Carmen,
Yeah,
first
I did
frame,
draw 4. I don't know why there's only 3.
up, switch over, down.
Yeah.
I don't know, could be because that's the way you rendered it.
Okay.
So
I can
in other words-
resubmit it. I did draw 4.
No, you don't need to resubmit it, but I think it's an interesting thing to just see that it even works with 3.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where in your career, someone might ask you to have something, a dog waving or an animal's tail wagging. And you can do it with 3, 4, but you can make it really slow and use 6 frames. So that's kind of the whole point that I was trying to get at last week. All right, Reagan.
Hey, Billy, sorry to interrupt, but for some reason, it took me 10 minutes to get in through the Zoom link this week of it just loading and saying, waiting for host to accept me. Okay. I just got in. Is that like normal?
No, I was doing some Photoshop work and normally, well, no, yeah, I had it open because Nicole was supposed to show up for my office hour and she didn't show up. And so I just took a minute and did some Photoshop work and I let everybody in all at the same time, about a minute late.
Oh, I just got in like 1 minute ago, like 10 minutes after everybody. It was
Well,
just kind of quirky. Anyways, I'm glad it's not broken.
It's okay, yeah.
I was just checking.
It was probably my error, not yours.
Okay, right on. Well, thank you.
Okay. So this is Reagan. Oh, this works. I like the really close-up camera, right? You're telling a story and you do a close-up on the dog's face and he's like, what, kibble? And then all of a sudden you've got this tail wag. It works. It totally works. It's great. Thank you, Reagan. Deborah. Yep, you get the idea. 4 frames, in, done, 100 points. James. Well, this is interesting. It looks like you did the seaweed one under the water, which is fine. That's great. This has a total of 8 keyframes in it. And it's fine. This is good. One of the things that you may want to consider with animation like this is that the water pushes the seaweed way over this way, and then it staggers back and forth, it moves back and forth for a little bit, and then it goes the other way and ends up over here and wiggles back and forth for just a little bit and then goes back the other way. So it's something to consider, like the tide is going in and out. So yeah, this is great.
Cool, thank you.
Yep, it totally works. Chloe. Uh-oh. The dog has no butt. Chloe.
Yes, sorry. I was trying to put the butt there and then it ended up looking really, really weird because I don't know what dog butt anatomy looks like and the tail looked really funky.
Why,
So
why did you say it looked abusive,
no, it looked funky.
funky? Well, I think it looks funky without a butt.
Yeah, it does.
And I think that what, I'm going to put my mouse like right here.
Mhm.
Oh, and I'm going to put my mouse right here. And you've got the pivot in a weird place. Sorry, as a teacher, I'm not allowed to say weird unless I say weird in a weird kind of way. It's weird. Yeah, if I put my mouse right there, your pivot is in a weird place. The pivot should be actually like in the butt of the dog.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense because it looked weird after I like added the color.
No,
and
you're not allowed to say
stuff.
weird. You have to say weird, weirdly.
Weird.
Weird.
Really weird.
So look what happens if I cover it up. Right? It works, right?
Are you covering it?
Oh yeah, you might not be able to see this. I have one of my Zoom windows covering it up. Here, let me try this. There.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, I mean, it works, it is working, but your pivot point's in a strange place. So the next time, if we ever get asked to actually animate this,
Mhm.
make sure the pivot point is at the end of the spine of the dog.
Got it.
Thank you, Chloe.
Thank you.
God damn it. I'm around high school kids all day and I'm not allowed to swear. It sucks.
My teachers in high school absolutely swore all the time.
Oh, they did? Well, I'm only a student and I have a cooperating teacher. I probably shouldn't swear until I get my own classroom. All right, this is
That's mine.
Shade. Yep, it totally works. Yep, it works. Thank you, Shade. Oops. Vivian. Yep. You didn't know how easy animation could be, right? Yep, totally works. Thank you, Vivian.
Was that a joke?
What?
How easy animation would be.
I'm sorry, wait, which part was a joke?
You said, I bet you didn't know how easy animation would be. I was
Well,
just curious if
yeah,
that was a joke.
Sometimes animation can be really easy. It's like if you're following directions, it's like, oh yeah, it works. Historically from about 1923 to about 1929, the people at the Fleischer Studios and the Warner Brothers Studios and the Disney Studios were all inventing the processes that went into what we know as keyframe pose-to-pose animation. And it really started out with just experimental stuff, Winsor McCay with Gurney the Dinosaur and rubber hose style animation. And it was really, truly whatever you could get to work, then just get it to work. And then as the years went on, animation became more and more difficult the more you tried to get it towards the illusion of life. Animating Snow White going across the screen was not easy, and Disney ended up ordering a rotoscope for all the live action stuff that was still not in the can. And the Disney animators were kind of offended by that, and they tried to fix the rotoscope as much as they possibly could. And they learned, their learning process on Snow White was a really steep, good one. But after that, by the time 1941 came around and you have Pinocchio, 51, they had totally mastered the craft of animation. And it's really hard, but some things are easy. So yes, this is working. Thank you, Magnus.
I didn't mean for that to be rude. I've just struggled a
No,
lot
not at
with.
all. Not at all.
I'm
It's
in
just that you
2 animation
probably-
courses this semester, and they've been very difficult for me.
Yeah, you probably don't have too many animation teachers giving you really easy assignments. But I think it's good to have an easy assignment once in a while. It makes you feel like you can actually do it, right? All right, yep, this is working. Lots of different variety in there. Thank you, Kyle.
No problem.
Ryan. Hey, no one's getting busted for bad file names today.
It only took 5 weeks.
That's right. Okay, yep, dog's working. Looks like he's pretty happy about it too. Okay, thank you, Ryan. All right, refresh the screen. See if anybody just submitted. Yep. Delilah. Oh, wait, that's Ryan's. Right, hold on a second. Let me move these out of the way. All right, I don't know where Delilah's went. I'm moving things around on my desktop. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I don't know where it went. So let me bring it open again. Delilah. There we go. Yep, it works. Good. Delilah.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Tristan. Okay, it's working. Full points. Great. Easy.
Thank you.
Easy. Easy. Easy one. Now onto the flag. Actually, let me see if anybody else submitted. All right, let me make sure that that is, oh, well, that the, I want that one to open. So let me, so that was the dog's tail. Let's edit that one because there's some people that are still out. I have it open until May 31st. I could think we can just leave it there. I have it due February 19th. I think that's fine. So any of you who see this recording and who aren't here, that dog tail is open until the 19th. Okay. It's almost like I'm thinking that I wanted to show you the alternate way of animating a flag before we went into this, but that's okay. Let's just go over this. Carmen, you're first. Yep, okay, this is exactly what we were looking for. If the wave is moving from left to right. You even followed my directions on getting the little crease to move twice as fast. So yeah, that's good. And the tips of the flag, the corners of the flag are not stuck in 3D space, which is a huge deal when you're animating a flag. So yes.
I
Yay!
have a question about the flag.
Sure.
So for like the bottom corner, I tried to do the figure 8 thing, but I
Yes.
think looking at it, it's just going in another circle. Is it supposed to like cross over itself kind of?
Well, yeah, it can, it should, that's another option. It can flap towards us and flap away from us, because the flag is flapping in the wind. But drawing the arc for a circle 8 in perspective can be kind of tricky, especially if you're trying to follow it. So can you see me in the camera?
Yeah.
So it would be the equivalent of doing this.
Oh,
So you can do it. It's just a little tricky. This is working. It's totally working, but that's what you would do. You would just draw the flag waving in a circle 8, where the 8 is actually flat on the horizon rather than looking like a circle 8. But this is great.
okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Deborah. Okay, usually when I'm looking at animation like this, I like to look at one part at a time. So I think your moving hold is working over here. Your wave is working on the top, your wave is working on the bottom. The corners are working. Yep, everything's working. It looks good. Can I see some hands in the window for Deborah, please? Yay! Yeah, it works. I mean, one thing to consider is that this end of the flag right here looks like it's scooping the air, right? If you can see me in the monitor, right? It looks like it's scooping the air. And I think that one way to get away from that is to have it flat. But all the other parts are working pretty well.
Okay,
Right, thank you, Deborah.
thank you.
Yep. All right, this is James. Okay, everything is working fairly well, nice wave. The only thing that's kind of funky town is that this upper right corner is really sharp. I think it's animating okay, but it's just a little inconceivable that a rectangular flag would have that sharp of a corner. Are you following me?
Oh, yeah, I'm following you. I'm listening.
And so so just stylistically, if the corner of the flag was that sharp, that means that the wind would be pushing it up, right?
Totally.
And because it's cloth, the bottom of the flag would come along with it. So what ends up happening is that there and there and there, it looks like the flag is stretching. And usually cotton doesn't stretch that much in the wind.
Totally. I see what you mean.
And I think that you can trim this and just make sure that those few frames where it's really, really pointed like that just have either a different arc or a different design and a different arc. But the rest of it's working. The crease is working really well. You had to have been happy with that little rollover, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's really great. Yeah, the only thing that's kind of funky town is that little upper right corner of the flag.
Okay, right on. Thank you. I'll correct it. and
Yep.
send it again.
Hey! All right, Chloe Kim. You were in the news this week. Is someone on the Olympic team named Chloe Kim?
Yeah, there's an Olympic snowboarder who's
I-
been like.
Oh, she
breaking
won a
records and
medal.
everything. Yeah,
Do you get to share it with her?
I wish I could.
Ooh, fancy.
If it makes you feel any better, I've heard some interviews of Olympians and the medals don't really help you after you earn them.
Well, I know that the country by country give monetary awards. And I forget what the awards for gold, silver, and bronze for the Winter Olympics are. Some countries pay their athletes really, really handsomely. They give them a lot of money.
I've never heard that before.
I forget what America gives their athletes. But the biggest endorsement is like being on a cereal box. Then that's you're making money. Or selling tennis shoes. All right, so yeah, Chloe, this is working. Are you happy with it?
I'm happier than I thought I would be, because in the middle of it, I was like, I feel like this is gonna turn out terribly, and then I finished, and I was like, oh my god, it's not as bad as I thought it'd be.
Well, it is jittering back.
Yeah.
The catch up between your very last frame and your first frame is a little rough. It's a
Yeah,
little, but flags can do that.
There was when I think it for well I think what happened was when I did the first and second frames, I was like pretty conservative with the arc because I didn't know like how much, I guess even though I did like the layout and stuff, I didn't know how like much of an arc really to give it, but by the end I was having more fun with it, so I was drawing like my arcs were getting like a little more archy, and so then compared to the beginning and the end, it looked kind of funny. But
So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going frame by frame.
Mhm.
And I got to the end right here of your cycle.
Mhm.
And my intuition is that, so I want to go backwards 2 frames.
Yeah.
So I'm following just this crease.
Mhm.
So it moves out to this position. And then I'm gonna, actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the corner of the playhead right here. Can you see my playhead?
yes.
Okay, so now I'm gonna jump back to the very first frame.
Mhm.
And that's what's happening is that
Okay.
when it loops, it jumps back. Watch, see it jumping back?
Yeah,
right
I see
there?
it.
So that's just a quick little fix.
Cool. All right.
So, yep, thank you, Chloe.
Thank you.
All right, and Shade,
Present.
present. You bought me
Sorry,
a
I had something
present?
in my throat.
You bought me a present?
If I had the money to, I would. Still
Okay,
waiting
I'll-
for
I'll
that tax
take-
return.
I'll take a big red fire truck.
I don't know if I have that much. It's really bad. Like I said, I spent several hours on it and I just couldn't get it.
All right, so one approach here is to, I'm gonna actually stop this and, oh, look, Zoom knew I wanted to draw today. It opened before I even got my mouse down there. All right, so let me give you a little hint.
What I did was I pulled up the lecture and then I screenshotted your guide and then I pasted the guide in behind it and I tried to follow where your hash marks were for the arches.
Right,
And I'm
Alright,
just not
so-
good at animation.
well, not yet. Well, at least with the flag, there's lots of things in animation that are more fun and easy. And the flag is actually not the easiest. So remember, what we did is we talked about this being a node, right? And one of the reasons why I canted the angle here was that forces this under node to be in a different place, right? It's on an angle. And it's not going to be right up and down on top of each other. But this node actually is going to animate into this node. And if we go back out over here, it came from here. So this very same drawing number 1 is moving across the arc in 8 different drawings. So that's halfway, that's a quarter, and then here's your 8ths, right? So that, well, I should draw it up here. So what's happening is that, I'm sorry, you know what, let me Z back. Because what's actually happening is that this node goes from here to there. Right? It's going from there to there. So this is about halfway. This is a quarter. And then here's your eighths. And I always like to double count. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. Perfect. So that's 8 positions. And so sometimes what animators like to do is they like to draw this middle position first. And so, and it's because it's easier to see. And we didn't do this last week. So you, let me pick a brighter color. So for this middle position, the wave would look like this. And then remember, just kind of leave it hanging there until you figure out where the edge is, right?
The edge was where I had the most trouble.
Well, you do that last. So here you say you want the edge to be moving on a circle 8. And this one's going to be moving on a circle 8 that's this way. And then you just count 1, which way is it going, right? It's going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 2 are in the same place, and then 7 and 8. But so when you get to it, you animate just the corner of the flag, just moving along that circle 8, and then you find out where it connects to it. Same thing with the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So this right here, this blue one is actually, well, let's just draw in the numbers. This is 3, 5, 7, 9. In animation, if there's a line under the drawing, that means it's a breakdown position. It means it's in the middle of 2 keys, 11, 13, and 15. If a drawing is circled, that means it's a keyframe. So 9 is halfway. So drawing 1 and drawing 9. And then you just have to go back in and do your in-betweens. And so if you wanted to do drawing 5 would be like this. You see this line right here? And this line? So drawing 5 is like right in between those 2 lines. And then you stop because you don't know where drawing 5's corner is. Well, you do. It's kind of like right there.
What about the second like arc? What about the second node that's coming through the flag as the first one's nearing the end? Am I crazy?
No,
I
I
thought-
don't think I understand your question.
So we're animating the first node as it goes through the flag.
Right, okay.
Before the first node hits the end, another wave will start.
Absolutely. So that's kind of what I did when I was talking about this is the overall shape of the node, right? That's just this, but there's more to it. So in this first drawing that you have here, this node is we're just going to call this node 0 is moving into this position. And so it's going to have its own arc. And here's the halfway position. Here's the quarter. And then here's the 8th positions. And remember too, that, yeah, it might be coming from here, but it's got to be attached to the grommet. So even though it may want to be in this position right here, it's actually has to be attached to the corner. So you find out where the main part of the wave is first, and then you just attach it to the grommet. And remember that this is drawing 5 right here. The red one is drawing 5. And then you just go back and then you do your in-betweens. So between drawing 1 and drawing 5 is drawing 3, which is right here. And then between drawing 5 and drawing 9, it's right here. And it gets a little messy when you start trying to put all 8 drawings in one little explanation drawing. Remember what I did last week is we talked about a giant circle that's moving across the stage, and all you're doing is animating this part of it. but there's actually the little down parts too. When Flash animators animate a flag, they used to do this thing where they would just create a wave like this. And they would say, okay, this is my node number 1. And this right here is node number 1. And then this is almost node number 1 over here. And then they would take just a mask and they would put it over the whatever part of the flag they wanted. And then they would animate this green line as a symbol, just moving and looping. That's all they did, was animated from this key position to the end. And then when it looped, it caught up with each other. And it looked like a flag was moving. So in that Flash demonstration, you wouldn't see any of this. I'm also realizing that this may not make any sense to you because you haven't seen this before.
I think I'm tracking. It's
Just- But just kind of realize that this thing that I'm drawing in blue right now is like a cardboard. It's a piece of cardboard. And you can't see anything to the left except for this little window. And so Flash animators just used to animate this green line behind it, starting from this position, moving out, and then catching up. And it was brilliant because Flash generated really small files to begin with. And if all you were doing was moving one shape, you weren't even animating. You were just moving it. And it looked like a flag was waving. Or in this case, it would be water moving from left to right, a water wave moving left to right. And we can go back over that again if you'd like. But let me play this. Oh, hold on. How many drawings do you have in here, Shade?
8.
Well, the wave is almost happening.
It was, so the first 6 are almost correct. It's the last 2 that I just came unhinged on. I just couldn't get. And so I just put something in and turned it in.
Yeah. Well, let's go through the rest of these and then I'll do the little thing that explains what I just showed you more clearly in Rough Animator. How about that?
All right. I think I understand what you're saying. I don't want to absorb too much
Well,
class time.
I think you'll understand it perfectly once I actually show it to you in Rough Animator as opposed to try to drawing in Zoom. All right, thank you, Shade. Hands for Shade. Vivian. Okay, yeah, it's working well. You're happy with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that everything is working pretty well. The little crease comes in, goes off. Got the moving hold. You got the little ruffle, the little turnover on the end there. Yep, it's good. Let's say hands for Vivian, please.
Thank you.
Magnus.
Hello, Billy. I'm sorry for being late.
That's okay. I was early. You know, I think it's working. How many drawings do you have?
I think 8.
I think it's working. It's not the best one I've ever seen, but it's still working pretty well. There is one little anomaly, and that is if I put, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
So if I put my mouse right there, again, it's inconceivable that the very end of the flag would be that right there, that would be stuck in 3D space.
Mm.
So you would go try to
Yeah.
go back in and make sure that that edge of the flag, of the rectangle of the flag, is moving around back and forth as much as it looked natural. I mean, you've got a nice little arc on the top and a nice little arc on the bottom, but all of a sudden, right in the middle, it's like stuck in space.
Yeah.
And like Wallace Shawn said, that's inconceivable.
Yep.
And you know where I'm getting that from, right?
Maybe.
The Princess Bride. The character Wallace Shawn, I forget the character.
I've never seen that movie.
No, that's inconceivable.
I know what you're talking about. I can see the guy in my head, but I've just
Yeah.
never seen that movie.
So we'll talk about that, and maybe you can fix it if you would like. All right, and now we got Ryan.
Hello.
Okay, I think this is working pretty well. How are you drawing your lines?
Yeah, so I have it's a Huion tablet, and I can draw on the screen. And this is kind of a complicated situation, but basically I'm using the lab computers, and they don't have the driver for my tablet, so I'm just using like the default settings or whatever. And the sensitivity is really bad. I have to like press super hard on my tablet.
Oh no.
So yeah, my lines are like kind of rough.
Well, the animation is working. You know, I think it's working pretty well, actually. I just want to make sure that you weren't drawing with a mouse.
Oh no.
So one thing that you could add here is the moving hold.
Right.
Here, I'm going to draw like you. Right? You're missing that part. And I think that you get that crease in there moving left to right, and that will improve it. Are you going onto campus to do this?
Yeah.
Okay. And what application are you drawing in?
Harmony.
Harmony. And you were using one of your own tablet?
I'm using my own tablet on the campus computers.
And is there a person in the lab?
Yes. This is another thing I've been over, because I have also tried using the lab tablets.
Yes.
Which they have the driver installed, but I don't think it's like configured properly, because it's requiring me, it needs the admin password for the computer in order to actually make any changes with the tablet driver. So
could the person there help you at all?
I've asked, and they don't get the admin passwords.
Well, one thing that I don't want you doing is pressing really hard for any more periods of time.
Yeah.
'Cause you will blow out your hand, and I don't want you doing that. And remember, one of the things I said last week was that the pressure sensitivity in Rough Animator, it's so brilliantly done. You can just, it's like drawing with a piece of charcoal. You don't have to push hardly at all on it. So again, this is working. I think you just missed some parts. Please don't blow out your hand.
I don't want to.
All right. All right, do we some hands, please, for Ryan? Yay! All right, let me refresh my screen. See if anybody just submitted. Yep, yep, Delilah. Chloe, everybody's naming their files correctly. I don't get to yell at anybody today. Okay, Delilah, this is working fairly well. It's pretty believable, except for the corners of your flags are too far apart here. You know, I mentioned this last week. It's just an aesthetic thing. But if you think about it, and let's say that you were just going to really want to put this on your reel, that what you really want to do is like say, okay, the bottom of the flag here, it looks like it's jumping a little bit. You know, so you may want to figure out what that shape looks like. But the corner, the edge of the flag over here is like this. And if it's a rectangle, then the edge of the flag should be just about like that. So all this stuff down here is probably just a little much. And to take this loop, that little circle 8 that you were making down here, and move it up so that it's up here. Because you see that it's down here.
Yeah.
And that'll help with this. You don't have to do it for me, but I think that you might want to just do it to make it work.
Okay.
Because you could put this on your reel and say, hey, animating a flag waving is a standard technique in intro to animation. So it just needs a little fixing right there on the corner. All right, can I see
Okay.
some hands for Delilah, please?
Thank you.
And Tristan?
Last one.
We always go in order because it's alphabetical. And if I don't, then I'll lose track and I'll forget you. All right. Okay, so Tristan, this is working pretty well. Lines are a little messy. How are you drawing your lines?
I'm drawing with the tablet
What application?
and with Animator.
Okay, try to get smoother lines. You don't want people going, hey, look at those pencil lines.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're drawing a flag, but there are some stylistic things there. But I think it's working. It's just that your lines are a little sloppy.
Yeah, I need to
Right.
smooth them out.
We'll just practice getting more of an artistic line going. All right, can I see some hands for Tristan, please? All right. All right, so let me go back to the top here. Did anybody else sneak one in? Did anybody? Okay, I got all those. All right, I didn't miss anybody, right? Okay. All right, so let me show you that thing I was talking about. All right, rough animator flag open. Hey, didn't I tell it to open?
I heard you tell it to open.
I told it to open. There we go. Oh, it wants me to double click on it. All right, so I am going to put the other demonstration right over the top of this one, but I think I want the background, and I'm just going to turn. No, that's weird. Didn't I name these layers last week? What is this layer right here? That's the flag. So flag _1. What is this one? These are grommets. We can keep the grommets. I think I saw either last week or this week that the Aardman Studios is doing another Grommet movie, Wallace and Gromit.
Are they the ones that did Chicken Run?
Yeah. But the odd thing, I think that the delay is that because Peter Sallis died a bunch of years ago, he did the voice for Wallace.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I'm on the background layer here. I'm gonna pick some.
I remember Chicken Run was really scary for me as a kid.
It's brilliant. Mrs. Tweedy.
Oh, I'm sure. I just remember that I was like really scared of it. I was a weak child. It's fine.
It's the it's a remake of The Great Escape. The old movie from the 50s. All right, so what I'm going to do on this layout here is I'm going to give myself just a more simple design of the flag. It's going to have just one arc here, one arc here, and I'm paying attention to the rectangular notion of the flag itself. I'm just going to give the a little rollover thing. I'm going to kind of fix this a little bit. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to let this be a really simple demonstration for anyone who wants to even just think about this. Remember that there's a number of different ways of approaching animation. There's especially a number of different ways of approaching the waveform animation itself. So there's a couple of things going on here. Remember that what we're looking at is just a continuous wave. The upper and lower nodes are moving along the arc of motion to the right. So the bottom node is moving like that. The upper node is moving like this. It's just something for you to consider, to think about. So this right here is position number 1. And then once we get all the way out to here, this is position number 1 again on the top. And so this is position number 1 on the bottom. And you can see that there's like a little angle between them. And so if I make these two lines parallel, then that indeed is where node number 0 should be for the bottom. And so that's where this node starts and ends. And again, we're going to do this in 8 particular frames. And in the background layer, we're just going to talk about charting this. So drawing 1 is my main key. I know that I need a total of 8 drawings. There's going to be a drawing halfway, and that's going to be a breakdown drawing. A breakdown drawing gets an underline underneath it. There's going to be 2 drawings that are a quarter of the way, and then 4 drawings that are just 1/8 of the way. And if I number these on 2s, it's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 is the breakdown. That gets the underline underneath it. 11, 13, 15, and 1 again. So you're animating from drawing 1 back into drawing 1. That's the loop. Chloe, just go like this. Yes, Mr. Billy. Okay. So another thing that I can do here, just to make it a little bit more obvious, is that I'm going to just kind of put like a gate right here between the top and the bottom nodes and say, oh, look, halfway is about right here. A quarter of the way is right here. And then the 1/8ths are here. And I'm just putting this in as the guide, just as like a graphic visual guide. Because to answer your question, Shade.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, my mic was off
So you
again.
see this distance right here?
Yeah.
I'm going to put another mark right here and then another one right on the grommet. And then going backwards, I'm going to put one here, and one again on the grommet. So this is drawing 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15, like that. And again, 9 is the breakdown position.
Mhm.
So drawing number 1 is already there. We've got the green drawing, right? So I'm going to make a new layer.
I think maybe part of my problem was I was trying to draw the entire flag in its entirety every frame?
Maybe, but let's do this. So just, I'm gonna take my layout right here. And I've got a green drawing right here, but I'm gonna make this one like, I'm gonna make it orange. I'm gonna make it orange so that I can see it. Remembering that the onion skin here gives you blue and green. So blue before and green after, right? So orange will be obvious that that's the drawing that we are drawing on. So drawing number 1, it's on for 3 frames. So I'm going to increase it to 3 frames. And I'm just going to copy drawing number 1 right from the layout. Just right from our design. I'm going to draw a little heavy so that we can see it. And again, I think that the crease would end up being like right here. All right. And we're getting a nice, wonderful brown color because orange and green make brown in the world of light. All right, so that is drawing number 1. That's my drawing number 1 right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump ahead all the way to drawing 9. But in order to do drawing number 9, or whatever this drawing right here is, because we're on 3s, these numbers aren't going to mean anything here in a little bit. I'm going to add a drawing after. I'm going to add a drawing after all the way out. And so I'm just going to give myself the drawings that I need. And I'm going to go to this drawing right here. So I've got my first drawing, 1, 2, 3. Second drawing, 1, 2, 3. So I know that this drawing right here is my middle drawing. Drawing 9 if I was on 2s. And now that I'm on 3s, it's 13. So on the layout, I can just put like a little 13 right here and make, so that belongs right there. All right, so on this drawing right here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take this upper node. See this upper node? I'm just going to draw this node like that. And I'm going to stop because the edge of the rectangular version of the flag is right there. So I'm just going to stop. And I'm going to go this line here, and I'm going to have to connect it back to the grommet. Just like that. I'm doing on the bottom too. So in the bottom, we went from, this is our first position. This is our first position. This is our middle position here. So this node is going to move to this, and make sure you're stopping right where the edge of the rectangle is going to be. All right, and then we're going to connect it just lightly back to the grommet. All right, so that is our drawing number 9. And the advantage of this is now you can see I've only got 2 drawings. Yes, Mr. Shade?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. So
I just
now
have
what
my
I'm-
mic off because my fan is on.
No. I just want to make sure that you're watching. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to determine, I went back to my background, and I'm just going to take this corner and I'm going to say, I'm going to make this corner move in a circle that's like this. And I'm on my background layer. And then I'm going to take this bottom node and I'm going to make it move in like a circle 8. And on my background, I'm going to renumber these drawings because they're on 3. So this is 1, 4, 7, 11, 13, plus 4 is 17, plus 4 is 21, plus 4 is 25, 26, 27, 28. So we should have a total of, I misnumbered something, hold on. 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 7, 13. Oh, 17's wrong.
Are you adding 3 every time?
Oh, yeah, 3. Oh,
Then
yeah,
11 should jump to 14.
14. No, that's not right. Wait. 10,
Oh, yeah.
10, 13, 16, 19, 23.
One.
I can't add by threes. 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 20,
22.
21. 21, and it'll last for 21, 22, 23.
I thought, is it 19 plus 3, 22?
Yeah, okay. 22,
Sorry.
23, okay, that's right. Okay, so those are the numerical values right there, just for on twos and on threes. All right, because what I want to do is I want to, with my red color, is I want to just configure the arc of motion for the corner. So right there are quarters.
So the
Okay.
corners are on a different progression than the flag is. Or than
They're the
the,
same number of drawings, but one is going to move one way and the other is going to move the other. But I still need a total of 8 drawings. So I'm just gonna, so I want them to move evenly. So this is 4 drawings, and then I'm gonna do the little quarters. And so that's a total of 8 drawings right there. This corner's right there, here, 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 here. So that's 6, and then 7 and 8 are right in the middle. Now let's number them. Let's have one go clockwise and the other go counterclockwise. This is 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, and 22. Okay, now, so that one clockwise. Now this one's going to go counterclockwise. This is 1, 4, 7 in the middle, 10, 13, 16, 19 in the middle. I'm just going to make a really small 19. And then 22 is going to be right where this number 4 is. I'm sorry, it crosses back over. 22 will be over here. Okay, so now I need to do drawing number 13, the drawing that's right here, right? So now I'm going to go back to what color did I pick to draw? I picked this orange. So let's go back to our orange. I didn't put it on the swatch, but that's okay. And also what I don't see now is that I don't see the drawing that I did in the middle, because my onion skin is not showing me this drawing over here. If I was in Toon Boom, you can, or even any other application, you could drag this out and say, hey, I want to see this drawing so I know that the in-between is perfect, right? But we know that our number 9 drawing is right here. Can you see my mouse moving?
yes.
So I'm doing drawing 5. So I'm going to start here and just draw it like this and connect it to the grommet. Now drawing number 5, I'm sorry, drawing number 7 is going to connect right down here, so I can point it at it right there.
Oh,
So
okay.
now I'm going to do the same thing. So now on the bottom, it doesn't even matter. This is my halfway position. So I know that this arc right here is moving out about this far. Connect it to the grommet. Oh, you know what? God damn it, I did this on the wrong drawing. Hold on. I'm Zing back out of this because I did all those little marks on the first keyframe. No, I did not want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to drawing number 3, which is actually drawing number 7. I'm on frame 7. Let me just redo that. All right, so now I can see the onion skin showing me the other drawing. So this line and this line are being directly in between. See it right here to right there? And I'm just going to connect it back to the grommet. All right, so again, this is drawing 7. So now I'm just going to point the edge of the flag right at drawing number 7. Same thing down here. It's moving from the blue to the green. I'm just going to put the in between. And again, this is drawing 7. So I'm just going to point the corner of the flag right at that position. Now, remember too, that another way of handling this is doing this moving hold first, but that's okay. Let's go to this drawing and we're going to go the opposite way. So now this line here, which is this frame right here, see it? It's orange, but now it turns blue, is going to be moving into this position. So now we don't want to draw it up like this because the corner of the flag is down here somewhere. This is drawing 19. And so 19's position is actually right here. All right, so we need to figure out where the wave was coming from. So this drawing right here is where the wave used to be, and it needs to progress.
We're drawing 13 right now, correctly?
Yeah, I'm just looking at drawing 13.
Okay.
But it needs to progress, you know, two drawings out forward. So this right here on this drawing needs to move. So the node is right here. It needs to move at least right there. At least to right there. And then remember that this is drawing 19 and 19's corner is right there. Let's do the same thing. So this orange line right here, if I turn my onion skin off, you can see that the orange line is right there, is going to progress. And so we're almost at the end of the flag right here. So it's a little messy. Let's go backwards. So let's see what this drawing looks like right here. This blue line is moving out to the orange. This is moving correctly. All right, so let's do this right now. Let's take this line right here, the edge of the flag, and do the moving hold on it. So we're just going to scrub that in. And we're going to put that, we're not going to copy and paste it. We want it to move around just a little bit. And so we're just going to trace it back as good as we can. And even if we're trying to be really careful, it's still going to wiggle around a little bit. One of the things that's going to happen here is that it's establishing the keyframes so we can just flip our drawings with our keyboard so we can see where the lines are moving to. So once again, I'm just tracing back this here. We've got the main part of we've got the main breakdown drawing number 9 done. We just need to get it to loop properly. All right, so that's the moving hold right there. On my keyboard, I can go backwards and forwards with my mouse, right? Like on my keyboard, I can just go backwards and forwards. So I'm going to go to the drawing number 1. I'm going to go to drawing to the middle right here. I'm going to take my onion skin down just a little bit. And I'm going to take my background down just a little bit because there's a lot of stuff on there. Just so that I can see what I'm drawing. All right, so I'm going to be on drawing. I'm on drawing 1, drawing 5, drawing number 5. The drawing in the middle is right there. Drawing number 3. It looks like it's moving correctly, but now we got to do this drawing. So now remember, it says blue to green, right? Blue to green. So now I'm just going to take this is my in between these two shapes, and then connect it to the grommet. Follow your node. This little part of the flag is progressing forward, and the same thing down here, blue to green. So I'm doing like an in between. I'm just in betweening. One thing I have to make sure is that this node is moving straight across, so I need to come up and go like that. So this is drawing 3, which is actually frame number 4. And on my layout, that drawing 4 went to this corner right there. And on the upper part, drawing 4 was right there. All right, so now let's go to the next drawing. It's going to go from blue to green. Oh, wait. No, that's right, blue to green. So this drawing, this part is already there. Next drawing, blue to green. And connect it back to the grommet. Remember, you're not going to get the full wave because the grommet is holding it back, blue to green. So you're just doing a little in between right there. And you're going to try to get this little node to come up over here. We're on frame number 10. So this corner goes here and this corner goes right there. Like something like that. Okay, let's go to the next one there. We got this keyed in right here. This is drawing number 13. It's in the middle. So drawing 13 is here. So we have to fix this little part right here. So I'm going to erase this because it went too far. And we're going to actually flip this over. We're going to let it flip over behind it. This is drawing 13. And 13 is all the way back here. So we have to fix this too. This is, we got the upper and the lower part of the flag both flipping over at the same time. It's going to be okay. All right, so now we're going from blue to green, blue to green. So now we want to introduce the upper part of the wave coming back right here. And blue, we didn't do this one. All right, and then we just have 2 more drawings to do to see if our main animation is working correctly. So blue to green, blue to green. And the last one, blue to green, blue to green. All right, let's make sure the edge is right in the right place. This is 13, that's correct. 1 out, I'm flipping. This is drawing number 16. Drawing 16 is here. So it's finished its little flip over. 16 is here. It's in the back. We don't have to worry about it. This is the next one. This is drawing 19. 19 is right here. So now the curl is coming back. And on this one, the curl is coming back as well. All right, and then on the very last drawing, we can see that I'm going to bring my background back up just a little bit because we want to animate from the blue into the layout. Because that's technically our first frame is that green one. We're animating the blue into the green. The blue line is going to move down, and this is actually frame 22, so it's going to go to this corner. And the blue into the green goes to this corner. And we'll stop and see what our animation looks like. So the wave is working. And again, we did that by drawing number 1 and then 9. All right, let me just keep saying the numbers correctly. We did the breakdown, which is drawing 13. And then we did the first in between, which was drawing 7, and then 19. And then we went 4, 10, 16, and 22. So that's how we got that wave working like that. Let me take the background down. Continue the loop. And it's working. Right? All right, so now what we need to do is on this first breakdown is determine what this edge looks like. And I can see that if I just connect these 2 edges and put a little rollover underneath here, that'll look fine. We've already got our keyframes established, so let's go backwards to drawing number 1 and see what happens if we go forwards. So in forwards, we're on drawing number 4. The edge of the flag is right here, so it's moving backwards. In drawing 4, it's moving backwards. So I'm just gonna see what happens if I connect those two. Go to the next drawing. Now we're on drawing 7, which is right here. And drawing 7 is right here. Let's see what happens if we do like a little crease right there. Now in animation, if I introduce a crease like this, I have to do it at least for the next drawing or it'll pop. You don't want things to pop unless you're doing magic. All right, so drawing 10, the crease is moving backwards. That's fine. So just remember that you're doing one little bit of a time and there's still that little flip over right there. Next drawing, this is our breakdown. It's already done. Now it's going to have to move forward. So that's good. This is drawing 16, which is right here. Now the edge of the flag is moving forward. And I think the crease can disappear. All right, then one more drawing between the breakdown. This is drawing 19, which is right there, the corner. And here the drawing's right there. There could be just a little bit of a flip over on the bottom. Animate this out, moving out just a little bit. And the in-between, between the drawing that you did and the green one, which is our layout drawing. All right, so that's another way of doing it. So
Yeah,
again,
I'll try again this weekend.
well, this is being recorded, so you can always go back and look at it. All right, so now in this one, the only thing that we need to do is get this little crease to move out. And so let us take the crease and put it on the background so we know where it was. I'm just going to do that by drawing the top and the bottom of the crease. I'm going to go back to the flag layer. And remember that in this version, the crease is going to move with the actual position of the flag. So I'm going to draw it about right here. And then I'm going to go out to the next drawing and continue to move it out that far, but maybe it's going to become this crease and I'm not going to draw it. It's already there, right? So now I'm going to go backwards to the first drawing right here. And then I'm going to go and animate this backwards. So now I'm just going to draw a little bit of a less of a crease here. I'm going to go backwards, draw a little bit less here and a little bit less right there, just so that it animates. And let's see if the crease works. All right, do you understand how I did the crease?
I believe so.
Yeah, I
It's
just
just
started.
slightly past the node.
I started with the crease on frame number 1, key number 1, and I animated it straight ahead. Just to the we have to know where the flag is moving, so we had to make sure that all the nodes were working correctly first before we did the crease. And I know that everything is moving about that 3/4 of an inch. So I just went to the next drawing and just tucked it in there. I'm kind of pointing it at the edge of the arc up here and the edge of the arc up here. The next one, I put it here and I decreased its size, and the next one is not there. It's part of this little crease. And on this one, it's not there at all. And it's not here, but it is. See it coming back? Because we animated it backwards. We stole these positions, and for the last drawing, we want to animate into it. So I went backwards and animated it disappearing, going to the left and to the left again by that same distance. And it's not on, there is no breakdown position for that crease. Save this, and that's what the second version of the flag looks like. It's just another approach to drawing it differently. I'm wondering why I still see it's very strange. So that's just another way of animating the flag with the first key, the first breakdown, and then going back and doing the in-betweens and then the eighths in-betweens with 4 different drawings. 8 different drawings.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Sorry you had to do it again.
No, no worries. There's always multiple approaches to doing animation. This one's kind of funky because the bottom looks like it's intentionally flipping itself out. And if I was thinking about it, I might try to flip it over the other way, but it's okay. This is just another good way to think about doing the animation. All right, so let's take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break. And I'm going to remember to pause the recording and break, everybody. I did my list of things that I wanted to cover for this semester. And, you know, I thought it was in this folder about what I did for this class last time. Let me see if I can get it quickly. And it's not showing up quickly, so it's okay. All right, so what I had planned on doing was reminding you that I was giving you all a soiree into special effects animation. And I think that what would make perfect sense right now is if we did animated fire. We got 50 minutes. It's a good amount of time to just cover how to get stuff cycling as a fire, because it relates to the flag animation we just did. As long as you can understand how those nodes work, then that little demonstration that I just did for you relates. All you have to do is basically turn the flag sideways and the fire is going up. So let's talk about fire for just a little bit. All right, so with my Google window open, I'm just gonna write, I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm gonna put 2D animation, fire, and I'm gonna put the word drawing in there because I would get all kinds of other weird stuff in there. I get too many color stuff. All right, so at this point, I'm getting way too many colored stuff. So I'm gonna jump over to Pinterest for a second. And I am going to, oh, you know what? I might have already done this. Let me see. I'm clicking on my effects board, which I use for storyboarding and my special effects class for the Academy. But let me just check something here. In the announcements section for our class, I have this Pinterest link, and it's already linked to the effects board. So this is already in the classroom. This is already in Canvas. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that I did for fire. You know, this is pretty elaborate right here. We can do smoke later, but let's do fire first. These is some pretty crazy looking fire here. This one's really nice. This one right here, I'm gonna right click and open this one in a new tab just so that we can go back to it. But the idea of these little balls moving and getting smaller is what fire is all about. But there's one in particular, this one's nice. I like how it shows you the sequence. There's one in particular that comes from the Timing for Animation book. And again, this board is really long, so I have to just kind of muscle through it here. You know, this is really wonderful campfire right there. And this is a nice one too. The thing that I wanted to point out is that there are different kinds of fire. It's not just one thing. This is a really nice one. There's some really nice shapes in there. It can be really geometrical. It can be blue. Fire can be lots of different colors. We're looking at basically a campfire or a torch, but not like a welding torch, or the fire that might come from a candle or a gas stove in the kitchen. What we're looking at is either a small campfire or a torch that might be on the wall.
Every time I think about animated fire, I just think about how time consuming it must have been to animate the Agni Kai fight at the end of Avatar.
Oh yeah, absolutely. However, those were probably done by an effects department, and they do fire all day long, and so they can do it without even thinking. They do it so. So one of the things I wanted to point out was we're looking at shapes and movement at the same time, and you might see hot rods that have this fire motif on the side of it, right? There's like cars from the 50s and 60s that have this like fire. And I think that there's just too many repeated shapes. And I think I pinned this one just to say, hey, don't use that. You know, this is pretty interesting here. It looks like somebody might be doing this in Unity with sliders and just pulling keyframes. So I'm not going to open that one. We'll do smoke next, but I want to try to see if I can find that one particular fire. It's again, it's basically only 8 drawings. You know, this one's nice. There are things that you can do with the fire, like having the fire come on and go off. You know, like it was just an explosion of something that just burned. Here's an example right here of completely different kinds, where you have a forest fire, you know, a belligerent campfire, just lots of different kinds of fire right there. In my effects class, we do a lot of different things. So this is really, really complicated. I think that it looks like the animator might have done this with procedural sliders in Maya or Unity. This one looks like it might have been done in Flash. It's really simple. Actually, let's take a look at this one, just because I believe it's really, really simple. And I think that we want something just a little bit more awesome than that. You know, something like this. And it's not hard once you start really breaking it apart. So take a look at this. This is the main source of the fire. The nodes are moving upwards. They're also moving left and right. Just keep that in mind. So remember that you can always get to this board and find this. It's at the top of the board. All right, so continuing down, I'm looking for the one particular drawing. This one's nice, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for. And I'm going to give up on Pinterest here in just a moment. 3, 2, 1. When we do our smoke, which we'll do next week, we'll concentrate on this one. So, and this is still in that same board. So this is a really good one for doing smoke. All right, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to give up on finding the drawing. There's lots of fun stuff in here. All right, so I'm just going to do, again, 2D animated fire drawing, but this time I'm going to put the Hallis book in there. John Hallis, old time animator. Switches to images, and it's the first one. All right, perfect. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to take this, I'm going to place it in the classroom under announcements. So this is fire. And this is really just one of the best fires that you can get. And we're going to talk about this specifically because I don't want you to spend forever and a day on it. It's actually not that hard of a thing to do. It's actually really fun. All right. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're looking at this progression here. Hey, what happened? Stop it. Nope. All right. Let's try one more time. Nope. All right. I just want to see if I can get a bigger picture of it, but that's okay. So again, this is coming from this book, the Timing from Animation book, which I highly recommend for this class. What we've got here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drawings, just like I promised. If this was more clear, you could see that there's little X's in here that animate upwards. And from drawing number 1, they animate upwards and disappear. And then in drawing 5, they come back and animate upwards into the first position. So these little X's, again, I'm just going to call them nodes. So that's the theory, is that you draw your first keyframe, you identify the nodes, you identify the spacing. In a fire, the fire moves fastest near the source of the fire, and then it slows down a little bit as it gets to the top of its fire. All right, so again, this is an excellent version here. It's kind of interesting to me because it's bringing up the Preston Blair book, it's bringing up some other really great things, but there's not a lot of stuff out there related to this really wonderful fire right here. Again, this is on whatever page this is from the John Hallis book. So let's go to our rough animator. Let's save this and put it away. Let's give ourselves a new project, 24 FPS, say okay. Let's save this. Just before, it's just like a habit that I always get into because the days when the computers weren't as fast and you wanted to just make sure you saved your work. Billy B _ fire. Let's go into the desktop. 7 characters name. Okay, background. All I need right here is just a line. So I'm just going to give myself a line about 1/3 of the way up. I don't like it. I'm going to make it a little lower. All right, layer 1, this is going to be my layout. All right, my layout, I'm going to do a blue color. And I want to look at this shape of the fire. There's 2 nodes on the left, 2 nodes on the right, but they're opposite of each other. I'm going to have it move to the right here. So I want the source of the fire to be like right here. In the layout, I might actually give myself some logs. Just kind of crossing over each other. Maybe some rocks that are in a circular pattern. So that's just the logs that are burning on the fire. And this is the layout. I can always go back in and refine this a little bit if I want. All right, what I'm doing right now is just kind of drawing an oval because this line right here on the background, I believe it needs to just kind of go up a little bit. On my layout. Okay, good. Sorry. All right, on the layout with the same, I'm going to pick a darker blue to just draw what I look at the first keyframe of fire. These logs are burning. So I'm going to start with an outside curve here. And on the other side, I'm going to start with an outside curve that more quickly goes inside and outside curve to the logs of the fire. And I'm going to stop right there because you can see that they change direction. They become little S shapes. This one rolls over on top of itself. And I'm just kind of like borrowing that particular frame right there, really. Fire can have really sharp shapes to it. So once again, I'm just kind of looking at this directional lean. The fire's going this way. We've got the main crux of the fire here. It's going to maybe move up and to the left, and then up and to the right, and then back up to the left again, and then just up to the right and kind of dissipate right there. So this is taken from this idea right here, where the nodes of the fire go left and right. And we'll see that when, well, let's just keep going here. The fire starts to break apart. We've got a shape that just goes all the way back down and then back up again, kind of connects to this part, cuts back in, becomes that part. Let's put a hole in the fire. And we don't want to make it too complicated, but this part breaks away. This part breaks away. This part has a little hole in it. And maybe there's one more little flyaway part up here. All right, on the layout, this is our X node right here. If you can look at it, that's the node we're going to follow as it goes all the way up. So this is a good place to start. I'm going to wrap the fire around this little log right here and maybe have just a little bit of that kind of shape. Okay, so background. Hold the background out. Just going to 8 drawings on 2, so we're going to need a total of 16 frames. We're going to, oops, sorry. This is going to be our rough layer. So R_F for fire. And let's pick a light color first with red and just copy the first frame from the layout. I want to keep it kind of clean so I can see where the little nodes are going. Now, one of the things about doing fire is that unlike the flag, you don't have to worry about it being cloth. The fire has a lot more elasticity to it. It can disappear, it can come and go. It's a lot more forgiving. All right, so I'm going to allow you all to figure out what you want your campfire to look like, what your rocks to look like, to do the right thing and reference some images somewhere. I'm going to be on 2s here. So with my rough animation, I'm going to take my layout down just a little bit. And in the rough fire layer, add another drawing after. All right, so now the drawing that was showing up before was blue. Now we're just going to draw red. So now we're going to take this. This is like the base. This is where the stuff that's combusting starts from. But this little node right here has to move up. It will go in a little bit, but it has to go up. So I'm going to pick this distance right here. It's going to move about 1/4 of an inch. Same thing with this guy right here. I'm just going to draw it moving up about 1/4 of an inch. Same thing with this one. It's moving up about 1/4 of an inch, everything. So this is going to move up about 1/4 of an inch. This is going to change direction a little bit, move up about 1/4 of an inch. This little flyaway piece here is going to move up 1/4 of an inch and get a little smaller. Same thing with this one. This one's moving up and to the right at the same time. All right, now we'll do this part. Fire is pretty forgiving. You can change shapes a lot, but you do not want the fire to go backwards. it's gonna be moving around just a little bit down here. Let's call this a moving hold. All right, and we're gonna draw the next drawing. What we're doing is animating straight ahead. The process of animation for straight ahead. When we look at this, can you see it when I do that? So when you see process, pose to pose, we're doing this straight ahead. All right, so back to this, we're gonna add a drawing and we can see where we're going here. We've got to make sure it loops correctly. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drawings to get into a good place here. I'm going to start by moving this part up first. And I did do this a lot. A lot of times what I'll do is try to draw the same parts in the same order because your hands have memory. Your hands kind of memorized what you were doing a little bit there. And if you do these little parts in the same order, you're liable to hit it correctly. All right, so I can see where I'm going with this. This right here, if I draw this up a little bit and connect it, I know that the next drawing is going to have to be a reverse curve. This is getting a little too fat out here. You don't want the fire to become like this enormous explosion. This stuff down here is a moving hold, just like we talked about last week. So just kind of copy what you had. And again, this is changing direction just a little bit right there. I darken it in just a little bit. See where the blue is coming from, where it's going to. This stuff, it disappears. And this part's up there. Okay, so now I got 3 drawings here. Let's add another drawing after. Again, the blue is where it was coming from. This is the thing we have to worry about right here. Let's take this and bring it to an inside curve right here. But this little shoulder has to move up, and this has to move up. And sometimes what you want to do is you just want to get the main part of the fire working and then go back and add pieces that you missed. See this little corner on the left here? This is your flag. So get that little arc to move up, just like you did in the flag, and connect it here. This is your moving hold. All right, this piece moves up. Try to think up some good fire shapes. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just jump back and forth between this or even that or this to get some good fire shapes. Hey, in my special effects class, it's for games at the academy. And so sometimes the students take me up on the offer to do fire that looks like this. You know, it's just a bunch of geometry. All right, so these are moving up and dissipating. Get a next drawing. And then this piece right here is like a key piece. This piece has to get smaller, but this piece is going to break away right here. It's getting too fat, so it's going to break away. That means this is going to have a hole in it. And then this piece is going backwards. We didn't finish this one, so we have to go back a frame. This goes up, but what happened here? All right, let's go forward again. This becomes less. You can see it's moving up. What we're not introducing yet, which is fine, is that the idea of these guys moving back and forth, left and right. We'll do that on the next pass. All right, so this little C shape moves up and up, and then this moves up and up. All right, we have 3 more drawings to do. 1, 2, 3. So this, let's start here. This whole arc moves up. This is going to come up like that. This is going to move over to the right. This little shoulder moves up and goes the other way. All right, these pieces fly away. And we're going to draw a middle part there in a second. Oops. I don't know what I did that. Hold on. Drawing afterward. There we go. Okay. Same thing. Draw this little piece here, but then it breaks away because the fire's getting too fat. So let it pull back down, move the shoulder up and come out. This is getting a little too high, so let it break away. This is already broken away. All right. And then this is going to have an inside curve again. This is your moving hold. This is going to grow. This is going to go the other way. All right, got all those pieces. This is gone. All right, one more drawing. Now what we want to do is we want to see what the blue drawing is looking like in terms of our layout. So let's take our layout back up just a little bit so we can see it. We want to get back into that first keyframe there. And it might not look like we're headed there, but it's really okay. So in order to do like basically an in-between, we want to take the blue drawing here and we're going to take our rough and turn it down just a little bit too. So you're going to just see this. This is what this is what we want to make into. This is what we want to animate into. All right, so that means that this blue right here needs to go like this halfway, and then do that again. So let's just take we're turning down our rough. Our rough is the darker blue, and it's got to move into the lighter blue. So this shape is going to work. This right here is going to break into two little parts. If we draw anything right here, it might move backwards. So this darker blue shape right here, if we draw anything right here, it'll move backwards. So don't draw anything right there at all. This blue is going to move into this shape here. This blue, I think that what we could do is we could just let that stuff go away. This is going to flicker a little bit. And then this shape is right on top of the other one. This is right here. Let's do this again. Turn this down. All right, so now we're going to animate this out a little bit and up. This has to go up. And that's our last frame, just for the main part. This blue is a big volume here, so let it go up. And we're just going to indicate that by that shape. And let's play it, see what it looks like just right now. What I'm looking for is anything that would be going backwards. And it doesn't look like anything is going backwards. Good. So we're in a good place. So we're going to turn the rough down a little bit and the layout down more. We're on our first frame right now. I think that what I want to do is take the onion skin opacity down just so that I can see the frame that I'm working on. All right, and I'm going to just increase my red color just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten up these shapes just a little bit. You know, and again, when you're doing this, you want to have shapes in your eye. You want to see what kind of good shapes fire might have. It's amazing how much fire and water can look alike when you're doing this. There's some good shapes right here. Let me just highlight. So there's some really nice shapes right there. Again, I just go back and forth. On a Mac or a PC, it's Command Tab to jump between screens. So once again, this is my very first keyframe. And I'm just going to tighten up these shapes just a little bit. And the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pay attention to this open space right here in the middle, because we haven't animated that yet. All right, and as long as we've got this set, all we have to do is go to the next frame with my arrow key and tighten up this shape. here's that open space right there. Wrapping around the log, moving hold, moving up. Now we have to close the shape. Eventually we want to paint this. So this shape right here can connect to this one, and this can cheat over to here so that this can be shapes that are paintable. All right, and then I am doing like this graphic geometrical thing here, which is fine. I would stick with the same style. And I like these little backward points. Those little backward points are like the air dragging it. All right, let's go to the next drawing. So this open shape is there. This is broken away. Create a point. This has to be connected to it. This has to be connected to this or it won't paint correctly. Again, we're just tightening up our rough. Right, this open shape right here needs a break in it. And I can see that just by drawing 3 here, we want to start a new hole, a new air pocket. At just 1, maybe 2. All right, we have our fire dissipating up here. All right, next drawing. This is the shape, the hole that we just started. So I'm going to keep it moving upwards. It's pretty forgiving. As long as you move it upwards and don't make it go backwards, you'll be okay. Wrap around the log. Moving hold. Let's curl this back the other way, just see if we can get an interesting shape working. Next drawing. No, those shapes have to continue. Let's flip it over again. And this one right here is just going to change shape again. Let's curl that over. Moving hold. All right. This has gone away. This has to connect to something. It has to paint. All right, next drawing. This is our moving hold. Let's get this to come back. Let's go backwards. Yeah, this piece got missed. This is, oh, I went too far. This drawing, this little part that's burning is not here. So we have to draw it moving up. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I think of 3-point triangles, 4-point rectangles, moons, just looking for shapes. Sometimes when I'm doing fire like this, I'll even look at water, but you just got to be careful because you'll end up making a mistake. So these interior holes are now going to become bigger. So this one is now going to become like a big crease in this fire. It's just going to open up. Let's go to the next drawing. All right, so we have some stuff to do here. This hole is going to move up, and we want to make it look like fire, not some strange sea creature. And the last drawing. So let's see where this was before. We've got some strange shapes in the middle here. Let's see if we can make them look like fire. Moving hold. All right, so let's go back 2 drawings, 3 drawings, and introduce a brand new air hole and animate it upwards and again upwards, because on this drawing, we needed this space right there. All right, it's looking kind of funky right here. It's okay, fire's pretty forgiving. if we introduced a new hole right here, just with this little half moon shape, I'm going to remember it, and I'm going to go to the very first drawing and just see, oh, look, it becomes that shape right there. All right, so let's see what it looks like. All right, so now let's talk about if we can get any of these shapes to cross over from left to right and back and forth. So the fire is already looking pretty good. I see that this shape right here is moving to the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to force it to move to the right by increasing the volume on this part and then on this part, and continuing upwards here. So what I just did is I got this volume right here to move up to the right, and to the right more, and to the right some more, and then continuing. Now, if I wanted it to continue moving from this position onto the very next drawing, I would draw it here, and then again on the very first drawing. So then here I would draw it up here, and I could continue moving out. So now it's becoming like a little ember up there. All right, does everyone understand what I did right there? So I started right here, and I'll do it again. On this drawing right here, let's say that I wanted one little shape of fire to look like this. And I'm going to go to the next drawing, and I could see where it was. And now I want to move it to the left. So now I want to move that same little triangular shape here. So it's moving from, oops, sorry. It's moving from here to the left. Now it's going to move up to the left again. Try to keep that same triangular shape working, but I'm on the last keyframe. So I want to jump and then move it to the left and then up to the left again. And then now it becomes an ember. And a flyaway. All right, let's see if it works. All right, so it's working pretty good. There's some funky stuff happening in this little shoulder right here. So let's take a look at that. So let's follow it through. Let's follow it through straight ahead. We've got this shape. Next drawing up. Next drawing up. Next drawing, there's a little curl. That's fine. I'm just highlighting it a little bit more. And now it's going to move to the right and break apart and move up. I'm on the last drawing, so I have to get that part to move here. And then it becomes an ember. Let's take a look at just that little part. All right, you see what I'm doing? All right, so in order to look at the idea of the fire moving left and right, or there being air resistance or whatever, now we can play with those little embers. You can see that there's just a little bit of motion moving left and right, which is, it's working pretty well. It's on twos. I think that's a good source of timing. Let's get another ember starting like right here. So this little ember is going to start right here as just a little half moon shape. Go to the next drawing and let's bring it up. Bring it up to the right. And then it was there. Oops, it was right there for our pencil. On the very next drawing, let's just connect it to this piece, continue to the next drawing, break it apart, move it to the right. And this is our last drawing, but it's going to move here. And then on the first drawing, let's continue it moving here and upwards and ember and ember, ember. All right, let's see how that looks. You can just test one little piece at a time. And the more of those little flyaway pieces that have, the better you are, your animation is going to be at A, not going backwards, and the things that your eye is seeing are actually really cool. So now let's take a moment and just make sure that we've got some nice shapes, even though this is our rough. Let's just make sure that everything looks like fire shape. So we're not going to add anything. We're just improving the lines on the drawing itself. Things were a little messy right in here, but that's okay. It's technically still our rough layer. Oh, there's something that we missed here. So this little rectangular piece here is moving up, but this little shoulder here, this little backward C shape didn't get animated. So let's get that little baby moon to move up. And it's just going to go to the right. It's going to stay pretty big. And then it's going to break away. We're on the last drawing, so let's go to the first drawing. And it's going to stay as an ember for a while. There we go. So let's see if we can see what we did there. All right, so that's the idea. That's the idea of doing fire. 8 drawings. Start with your first drawing. Get all these little S shapes, C shapes, backward C shapes to move upwards. Keep the distance moving about the same. In our original example, things were, they suggested that we slow down the actual movement of the fire as it gets up here, but it's okay. Right here, it's moving quickly, but that's okay. It's got this shape to it here because it's moving up and the air resistance is kind of causing that shape. It would be unusual if they were U shapes. All right, so once again, I'm still continuing the line quality here. And unlike some applications, on the next drawing is my last actual drawing. It would be really cool if I could just use my keyboard to go to the very first drawing, but I do have to jump back manually. First frame. All right, so there's a thing missing here between this frame and this frame, and that is this shape right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hover my mouse right there and look at it, and I'm going to make sure that that shape animates right there. So and this is going to disappear. So that's okay. We're on frame number 1, but this shape right here is going to disappear. Watch. See how it disappears? So let's go to the second drawing and get this little guy to come up. Let's keep it the same basic shape. Next drawing. Maybe we want this one to cross over to the left. Let's see if we can manage that. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's the idea of giving like a 3-dimensional quality to the fire so that it's not, the wind is not just coming from one particular way. We're on the very last drawing. Let's keep going. Let's add it to this one right here. And maybe this one too, just the last one. So now I think we fixed everything. And that's good. That's a good place to stop right there. Let's take a look at what the QuickTime movie would look like. That's always a good test. BB Fire version 1. Quick render. loop. Okay, so what I'll do here is drop that QuickTime movie in the chat. And you all can look at it. So you have the production in the recording, which will be up on YouTube shortly. And you can all grab that little fire as a QuickTime movie to see what it looks like. Fire next week. One of the things that you want to do, and I'll just repeat it again, is that draw that first keyframe so it looks good. Don't copy mine. Use references. Go out there on the World Wide Web and find some good examples, and don't make it too complicated. Don't make it too simple. Find some good shapes and animate them moving just 1/4 of an inch for the first couple of drawings. Get some, make sure that they dissipate, make sure that they get smaller, because the thing is burning. It's eating up the energy. And just look at what I did. I just did the first pass with 8 drawings. And then I started in the middle and did some stuff that started in the middle and went to the beginning again. And try to keep those shapes, eventually try to keep those shapes closed. They're good shapes, but they're closed so that you can paint them. All right, just one thing for next week. Fire, Chloe, fire. Fire, Deborah. And
Sounds good.
Paul hates this because when we were in the 2D lab, you all had to punch your own paper. And it took forever to punch paper. And it was messy. There were little punch outs everywhere. And because you spent so much time punching paper, we only got through 8 projects in the whole semester. But here we can move at a faster pace. It's the digital age has come upon us. Do I have any questions, comments, complaints, conundrums, criticisms? We'll do smoke next week.
I mean, this entire class is kind of a conundrum for me.
Oh, no. Well, I'm trying to make it fun.
Would you say that it's easier than it looks? Because right now I'm like very like, oh God.
Well, go back and watch the video again. It's, you know, that demo was only 35 minutes, 40 minutes. So just watch that part of it. You don't have to watch all of the thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
And oops, Angel's coming back in. Just try it. There's only 8 drawings. As long as everything is moving up and that it's not going backwards, fire is actually pretty forgiving. And you might find that it is actually easy and fun as long as you don't make that first drawing too complicated. Just give yourself a few little parts to animate for your first pass and then add to it like I did. Add little parts that start in the middle, go to the end and come back.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to let you all out a little early today. Chloe's like, no, I want my money's worth, Mr. Billy. Screw you, Mr. Bill. All right, the recording will be up on YouTube.